Pull out your phone, open your banking app, check your savings rate. I'll wait. If it says 0.01, 0.02, or anything under 4%, your bank is robbing you. Not with a gun, with a decimal. And today, you're going to learn exactly where to move your money, how to do it in 72 hours, and why waiting even one more month is costing you hundreds. No gatekeeping, no minimums, just math. Welcome to Smart Investing Journey. My name is Marcus. This is the channel where broke ends and ownership begins. If you're tired of finance advice that shames you for buying coffee while ignoring the fact that your bank is literally taking your money, you're in the right place. We don't do hustle culture here. We do systems. We do math that actually moves the needle. And today, the system is your cash stack. Let me guess. You opened your first savings account in high school. Maybe your parents took you to the same bank they used. Maybe it was the one with the branch near your apartment, the one with the fancy lobby and the free pens. You deposited your first paycheck, you felt responsible, you felt grown, and then you never looked at the rate again. Boring is how they get you, because while you were sleeping, while you were grinding at your 9 to 5, while you were building your career, your bank was running a silent auction with your money, and you weren't invited to bid. You see, most people think the enemy of wealth is bad spending. It's not. The enemy of wealth is invisible erosion. It's the slow drip you never hear. And your savings rate, that's the drip. Today, I'm going to hand you a bucket. We're going to stop the leak, and then we're going to redirect the stream. This isn't about becoming a day trader. This isn't about crypto. This is about cash. Your cash, and where it sleeps at night, because where your cash sleeps determines whether it wakes up richer or poorer. And right now, if you're at a big national bank, it's waking up poorer every single morning. Let's do the math together. Not because math is fun, because math is honest. Let's say you have $10,000 in savings. At the national average rate of 0.01%, you earn $1 per year. $1. You can't buy a coffee with that. Now let's move that same $10,000 to a high-yield account paying 5%. That's $500 per year. Same money, same FDIC insurance, same risk, different address. But here's where it gets real. Most people look at that and say, it's only $500. That's not life-changing. Now, hold on, because you're about to see why that thinking is exactly what your bank is counting on. Over 5 years, that $500 becomes $2,500. Over 10 years with compounding, it becomes over $6,300. And if you build that $10,000 into $30,000, which is exactly where you should be if you've watched our tiered defense system video, that gap becomes $18,900 over a decade. $18,900 for doing absolutely nothing different except choosing a different website to log into. Let me show you something else. Meet Jessica. She's 28. She has $15,000 sitting in a HYSA savings account. She's been there for 4 years. She's earned $6 in interest. Total, $6. Meanwhile, inflation ate over $2,000 of her purchasing power. She didn't lose money, she lost ground, and she didn't even feel it. That's the danger. What most people get wrong is they think the difference between 0.01% and 5% is small. It's not small. It's a different financial universe. It's the difference between your money working for you and your money working for your bank CEO. And here's the context your parents never needed. In 1985, the average savings account paid 8%. Then came the zero interest era and the relationship bank nonsense. Now, in 2026, the Fed has held rates elevated for years, yet the big banks still pay you pennies. Why? Because they can. Because you let them. So why do they do it? Why does Chase pay you 0.01 while Ally pays you 5? It's not because Ally is nicer, it's because Chase doesn't have to. Big banks operate on what I call the convenience tax. They know you won't leave. They know you have your direct deposit there, your credit card, your auto loan. They know switching feels like a hassle, so they pay you nothing. And then they take your deposits and lend them out at 7, 8, 9%. Your $10,000 becomes their cheap capital. Your patience becomes their profit margin. In 2025, the four largest U.S. banks made over $400 billion in net interest income. That's not from overdraft fees. That's from the spread between what they pay you and what they charge others. And you are the raw material. Now, hear me on this. I'm not saying banks are evil. Banks are businesses. Businesses maximize profit. The problem isn't the bank. The problem is the customer who doesn't know they're in a negotiation. You think you're a valued client. You're a low-cost funding source. What most people get wrong is they think their bank is loyal to them. Banks are loyal to shareholders, period. The branch manager who knows your name? Lovely person. They don't set the rates. The rates are set 3,000 miles away by people who have never seen your account balance. Meet David. He's 31. He banks at Wells Fargo because his dad banks at Wells Fargo. He's never compared rates. David is paying $240 per year in lost interest on his $12,000 emergency fund for an app, for a brand he recognizes from college football commercials. That's not loyalty. That's marketing Stockholm Syndrome. Now hold on, because we're only halfway through, and I haven't even shown you the Smart Cash stack yet. If this is hitting you in the chest, if you're realizing you've been donating to a quarterly earnings call, hit the like button right now. Not for me, for your future self, the one who's about to stop the leak. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the channel where we treat you like the CEO of a one-person wealth building operation, not a customer, a CEO. Let's keep going. This is the Smart Cash stack. 3 tiers, each one has a job. Each one pays you while you sleep. Tier 1 is the high-yield anchor. This is your emergency fund. This is your short-term savings. This is the cash you might need in the next 6 to 12 months, and it belongs in a high-yield savings account, not a CD with a penalty, not a money market from 1998, an HYSA. Right now, reputable online banks are paying between 4.5 and 5.25%. Marcus by Goldman Sachs, Ally, SoFi, Capital One 360, Discover. These are FDIC-insured institutions, backed by the full faith of the U.S. government. Your money is just as safe as it is at Chase. Safer, actually, because it's growing instead of shrinking. What most people get wrong is they think online banks are risky. They're not. The riskiest thing you can do is let inflation eat your purchasing power while a brick-and-mortar lobby collects dust on your dime. Here's how to pick one. No monthly fees, no minimum balance, competitive APY, and a clean mobile app. That's it. You don't need branches. You don't need free pens. You need yield. Meet Sarah. She moved her $8,000 emergency fund from Bank of America to Ally last March. It took her 20 minutes. She earned $412 in interest in her first year. Her old account would have paid her 80 cents. Different bank, different rate, different future. And if you're worried about access, most HYSAs link to your checking account and transfer within 1 to 3 business days. Some even offer ATM cards. That's your liquidity. That's your safety net. And now it's paying you instead of punishing you. One move, 1%, compounded. And remember what we said in the 5 Sunday Habits video? Sunday is when nobody's watching. That's when you open the account. That's when you set the transfer. That's when you automate the monthly deposit. Because motivation is a lie. Discipline is overrated. Repetition builds wealth. And a recurring auto transfer from checking to HYSA is pure repetition. Tier 2 is the Treasury ladder. This is for cash you won't need tomorrow, but you might need within the year. Think of it as your midterm reserve, tax bill money, down payment savings, the buffer above your emergency fund. Instead of letting it sit in savings, you buy Treasury bills. 4-week, 13-week, 26-week. These are short-term loans to the U.S. government. They are state tax-free, which matters if you live in California or New York. They are backed by the full faith and credit of the United States, and right now, they yield between 4.3 and 4.8%. What most people get wrong is they think T-bills are complicated. They're not. You can buy them through Treasury Direct, but I don't recommend it. The website looks like it was built in 2003. Instead, open a brokerage account at Fidelity, Schwab, or Vanguard. Buy T-bills directly in your brokerage. No fees, no middleman, no fund expense ratios. Just you lending money to Uncle Sam, getting paid every month. Here's the ladder strategy. You split your midterm cash into 3 chunks. You buy a 4-week bill, a 13-week bill, and a 26-week bill. When the 4-week matures, you buy a new 26-week. When the 13-week matures, you buy another 26-week. Now you have a bill maturing every month. You're never more than 30 days from liquidity, but you're earning Treasury yields the entire time. Meet James. He has $20,000 saved for a house down payment. He needs it in 18 months. He was keeping it in a savings account at 0.2%. We moved him to a Treasury ladder inside his Fidelity account. He's now earning over $900 in interest during his wait. $900 closer to his front door. Same goal, same timeline, different vehicle, different outcome. And because it's in a brokerage, he can sell the bills early if he absolutely has to. That's liquidity plus yield. That's the smart cash stack in action. Tier 3 is the inflation lock. This is for cash you know you won't touch for at least a year. I-bonds and tips. I-bonds pay a fixed rate plus an inflation adjustment that resets every 6 months. The interest is federal tax deferred until you cash them. Even better, if you use them for qualified education expenses, the interest can be completely tax-free. The catch? You can only buy $10,000 per year per person. But if you're married, that's $20,000, and you can buy them as gifts for each other, stacking future years. Tips are Treasury inflation-protected securities. They adjust principal based on CPI. They protect your purchasing power when inflation spikes. What most people get wrong is they think I-bonds trap your money. They don't. You can cash them after 12 months. Yes, there's a 3-month interest penalty if you cash before 5 years, but even with the penalty, you're still crushing a 0.01% savings account. Meet the Chen family. They bought $10,000 each in I-bonds 2 years ago. Their interest has outpaced inflation. Their purchasing power is intact, and they sleep fine because the U.S. government literally prints the money that backs the bond. That's Tier 3, the lockbox, the inflation shield, the long-term cash that refuses to shrink. And if you're sitting there thinking, Marcus, this sounds like a lot of accounts, I hear you. But you don't need all 3 tiers today. You need Tier 1 today, you add Tier 2 when you have midterm goals, you add Tier 3 when you want inflation protection. The smart cash stack scales with you. But here's where it gets real. This isn't really about interest rates, it's about identity. You have been trained to see yourself as a depositor, a customer, someone who needs a bank's permission to access their own money. That identity is expensive. It costs you thousands per year. It costs you decades of compounding. Today, I want you to try on a different identity. You are not a customer. You are the CEO of a one-person wealth-building operation. And your cash? Your cash is employees. Some employees sit at the front desk. That's your checking account. Lean, operational, just enough to pay bills. Some employees work the floor. That's your HYSA, generating revenue daily. Some employees run the back office. That's your Treasury ladder. Steady, reliable, tax efficient. And none of them sleep on the couch for free. Every dollar has a job and none of them work for free. Let's bring this home. The smart cash stack. 3 tiers. Tier 1, high yield anchor. Your emergency fund and short-term cash in an HYSA, earning 4.5 to 5.25%. FDIC insured, liquid, accessible in 1 to 3 days. Tier 2, Treasury ladder, your midterm reserves in T-bills, state tax-free, monthly liquidity through laddering, 4.3 to 4.8%. Tier 3, inflation lock, your long-term cash in I-bonds and tips, inflation adjusted, federal tax deferred, the sleep like a baby tier. Now, the 72-hour migration plan. Step 1, open your HYSA on a Sunday when nobody's watching. Step 2, link your current checking account. Step 3, initiate a transfer of your emergency fund. Leave 1 month of expenses in checking for operational buffer. Step 4, set up auto transfer. Every payday, a percentage goes straight to HYSA before you can touch it. That anxiety you feel about your money, that anxiety is a tax. Automation is how you stop paying it. Step 5, if you have midterm cash, open a brokerage account and build your first Treasury ladder. Start with 1 4-week bill. Get comfortable, scale from there. You don't need to move everything on day 1. You need to move something because waiting is not neutral. Waiting is a decision to keep donating. Keep your old checking account as your operational layer.
Direct deposit lands there. Bills pay from there. But the savings? The savings left the building. The savings got a promotion. The savings now works for you. And if your bank calls you after you move the money, if they suddenly offer you a promotional rate to stay, do not take the bait. That rate will expire in 3 months. They'll drop you right back to 0.01. This is not a negotiation. This is a breakup, and breakups are final. You came here because something felt off. You sensed the decimal was wrong. You sensed that your money deserved better than a lobby and a free pen. You were right. Where broke ends and ownership begins is not a place on a map. It's a decision. It's the decision to stop accepting crumbs from a table you built. It's the decision to treat every dollar like an employee with a job description. It's the decision to be the CEO, not the customer. Different mindset, different system, different future. You will never out-discipline a system, but you can build one. And the smart cash stack, that's your system. That's your foundation. That's where ownership begins. Not tomorrow, not when you have more money. Today, with the account you open, with the transfer you make, with the auto save you set. Because motivation is a lie. Discipline is overrated. Repetition builds wealth. And the first repetition is the click that opens the account. The second repetition is the transfer. The third is the autosave that runs while you sleep. 3 moves, 72 hours, 1 forever. If this video changed how you see your bank, subscribe to Smart Investing Journey. We drop new systems every week for the financially underserved who are ready to become the financially unstoppable. Next week, we're breaking down the exact automation flows that make your entire financial life run without willpower. The 6-flow system. You don't want to miss it. Until then, move your money, stop the leak, and remember, where broke ends and ownership begins.